In-person interviews are not the only types of interviews. There's a high chance that you're going to be contacted for a phone interview. Let's go over what to expect for this phone interview. How's it going, everyone? Danny here with OJIS, helping you to challenge the status quo and find your dream job. I have good news for you. There is no additional preparation needed for the phone interview that isn't needed for the in-person interview. Nonetheless, the phone interview is very important and it can make or break your chances of getting that job. Therefore, I want to make sure that you know exactly what to expect and how to succeed at the phone interview. So if the hiring manager likes your resume and your cover letter, then he may want a phone interview for a couple of reasons. First, the phone interview is a great way to make the interview process more efficient for both the hiring manager and for the candidate, you. Hiring managers like to use the phone interview as a way to quickly screen candidates, especially when there are several potential candidates. Instead of flying in these candidates from across the country and doing an in-person interview that often takes an hour or multiple hours, phone interviews can be completed in 15 to 30 minutes without the candidate having to travel back and forth. This will help the hiring manager narrow down the field and select the top candidates from the list of potential candidates within a minimal amount of time. Also, flying out several candidates and paying for their flights and their hotel and their per diem can become very costly if many candidates are flown out. Phone interviews help minimize this expense that the company has to cover. Phone interviews will often feel like they come out of nowhere, and that is because you will have no warning that they will be calling for the phone interview. They may contact you by email or phone in order to schedule the phone interview, but many times they will call, and if you answer, they will be happy to conduct the phone interview right then and there if you are happy with it and comfortable with it. If you are given this opportunity, it is important to take advantage of it and get going with the interview process. Because of this, you need to be prepared as early as possible in order to accommodate for the unknowns. As I mentioned earlier, phone interviews will typically take 15 to 30 minutes. They are short and sweet, but be prepared to be drilled quickly with some good questions from their end. Whether the interview is scheduled or out of the blue, be sure that you are in a good location when it happens. Be conscious of noise. If by any chance you are outside, make sure the wind won't hinder the interview process. If you're in a public building or a public area, make sure the people around you aren't too loud to distract you from your thoughts. And choose a location that makes you feel comfortable. Being around many people during your phone interview may make you self-conscious, so avoid busy locations if that is true for you. Perhaps you'll want to be in your house or apartment to have that peace and quiet. When you are on the phone talking to them, realize that your voice is a much larger factor than it is during an in-person interview. This is because all they have to judge you by are your responses and your voice. Speak clearly and loudly so that they don't have trouble hearing you. And when you respond to their questions, give your voice positive and confident energy. Let them feel that energy. Imagine if you were the hiring manager and you were interviewing a person who was blah and didn't have energy or any spunk to them. Your gut feeling would be that they would be that way in the workplace, and who wants to work with someone like that? Don't be that person. Be energetic. Sound happy and enthusiastic. Be that person that they are dreaming of hiring. Now, recall the 3 types of interview questions that were mentioned in the first video of this module: behavioral, story, and technical questions. Let's talk about those briefly. The questions that you should expect to be asked during a phone interview are behavioral and story questions. For an impromptu phone interview, I myself have never been asked technical questions and I never heard of anyone who's been asked one either. But you never know. You might be the lucky one, so don't consider that a hard fact. Also, I have heard of companies asking technical questions during a phone interview, but it won't be an impromptu phone interview. They will be very clear about it, let you know ahead of time, and not surprise you. Either way, I feel safe to say that you should only expect behavioral and story interview questions unless otherwise told by the company. In that case, have the answers to these questions ready as early as possible. And I mean very, very early, because you can receive a call for a phone interview days after your job application submittal. Stay on top of it and be ready early. Don't throw away your chances at the phone interview. So as a summary, remember these 4 things. Take the phone interview very seriously, because a bad one can ruin your chances and take you out of the running. Set yourself up to be in a physical mindset that will maximize your chances, and use your voice as a tool to win the hiring manager's vote. And lastly, practice the answers to the interview questions early, because time is not on your side.